Coach, what are your assessments of the two performances in the group so far?
Yes, I can say we came here to win the games. We came here to qualify ourselves for the first time in history, but unfortunately we didn't make it. The game of today, that's also a game we want to win, because if you wear the jersey, you want to win.
And what are the positives that you take from the two performances, if there are any?
Oh, actually, the experience, as said before, India and Hong Kong, they have both qualified for more than 3 or 4 times. For Afghanistan, is this the first experience in this stage as well? So let's see in the upcoming years if we can make it for 4 years.
You equalized in the previous game, but what was the defining moment? Just, because giving away the game in those last seconds, what did you tell the team?
Yes, we came to win. A draw was not enough for us, so we took a total risk after the 1-1 as well. And in the end, there was a big gap in the midfield, and they scored, and they deserved to win.
Just in terms of Afghanistan football, what do you look forward to now?
I've said it many times, if we had qualified for the Asia Cup, it doesn't mean the Afghan football has developed. Because it's only the national team. We should develop the competition in Afghanistan, the league. Then we can say if Afghanistan has developed, yes or no.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Coach, what are your thoughts on the two matches that you have played so far?
これまでの2試合を通して今回の試合はどう臨みますか？
結果として2試合、残念な結果に、終わりましたが、今日の、アフガニスタン戦、チームとして、ゴールを奪って、勝利に近づきたいと、そういうゲーム展開をしたいと思います。
As you know that we lost the last 2 games, but today we're gonna score and we beat Afghanistan.
Coach, you played a couple of very young players in the last game. Your strikers were 19 and 20. Do we see more of that today? Maybe you play some of the younger players?
前回の試合ではストライカーが若かったんですが、今回の試合もそれ以上に若い選手を起用されてますか？
やっぱり今日のゲームに、相手に、アフガニスタンに合わせた状況で若い選手も、その状況に応じていろいろ交代をしながら使っていきたいと思います。
Yeah, that point depends on the situation and according to the opponent team. So we're gonna prepare about on the team.
Football in Cambodia is changing. You have the Cambodia Premier League now. How does that help the national team? What are your thoughts on that?
カンボジアリーグにとってこのナショナルチームはどんな存在ですか？
やっぱり、カンボジアのプレミアリーグの、活躍している選手たちが、代表として来てるわけなので、彼らもやっぱりカンボジアのその代表選手としての意地があると思いますので、今日、アフガニスタン戦、いい力を出して、くれることを信じています。
As you know, that they are from Premier League in Cambodia, and also we're gonna choose from the Premier League, and the players has pride and also good enhance to the Premier League from that game.
Thanks, Coach, and good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you. So with 4 matches played and the qualifications already decided from Group D of the AFC Asian Cup qualifiers in the form of India and Hong Kong, we switch attention to Afghanistan and Cambodia, 2 teams which come into this game with a hope for a more successful future in the sport. And as cliched as it might seem, that journey begins now, and ending a tough set of fixtures with a win will give them some more belief. This is the group, and one might wonder why the placings are decided, and this is because Palestine have beaten Philippines in another group earlier in the day, which means every second place team in the other 5 groups with more than 4 points will make it through, and India and Hong Kong both have 6 points. So that works out very well for those two. Well, Dastur has made 4 changes to the Afghanistan lineup, which lost against India a couple of days ago, with Hosseini getting a start in goal and a familiar figure in Masi Saihani at centre-back. Zohib Amiri continues to start. Zazai gets the nod, and so does Farid up top along with Azad Zoe. Well, one absence is Farshad Noor. As for Cambodia, more than half the 11 has been changed by the think tank of Hirose and Honda. A chance for some new faces to make their mark, with Brakhthiva, Sin, Sinti and Tess Sambath all getting action in Asian Cup qualifying. Well, one more thing to note about Afghanistan is that they do start with Shaiste, the player who is 1 goal away from becoming the top scorer of the country. Support for the home side India already in the stands, because they do play later in the evening against Hong Kong in a match that will decide the table topper. As for this group, every game has given us goals. 11 scored so far in 4 matches, 2 more to go. Cambodia's joint head coach Ryu Hirose mentioning that they will want to beat Afghanistan, but more importantly, they want to score. Cambodia are the only team which haven't scored in the group so far. Now, we can only guess that those are the words and the motivation that will have been given in the dressing room as well by Hirose, a remarkably soft-spoken head coach, sharing responsibilities with Keisuke Honda. Producing young players is what Cambodia want to do over the course of the next few years, and they must have taken lessons from Hong Kong, given that Hong Kong have qualified after a 54-year wait. So immediate resignation will have been felt at the failure to get out of the group. But both teams will be hoping that there have been some positives to take from this. Dastagir mentioning the word experience, and Cambodia's head coach Hirose spoke about the changing landscape of football in the country. For Dastagir, he says that even qualifying for the Asian Cup does not mean that Afghan football has developed so much more to do, so much that the sport can provide to the country. Well, it is a different kind of looking to the future for both these teams. But in the immediate aftermath is just about going back home for a seasonal break for all the footballers with a win under their belt. Now it's time for the national anthems.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand up for the national anthem of Afghanistan. gentlemen, please rise up for the national anthem of Cambodia.
So both the sides are ready. Cambodia, of course, with a youthful setup today, giving as many players the chance to taste international competition at this level against a physical side, against a side which will compete and compete hard. But the likes of Thiva wearing number 18, we saw flashes of him early on. And there's the senior member, Shaiste, looking to become the top scorer of the country. And it might be a different kind of looking forward to what will happen for Afghanistan and Cambodia. One group, the Cambodians, young and ready to take on the challenges in the future. The match officials also ready. Afghanistan's core group consists of slightly older players, and they may not yet bleakly tell each other that we are the last of us. But there is a clear need for a younger and bolder approach in the future. And it is about setting a marker, and those kinds of markers are set in competitions like this. So many of these players from Afghanistan, especially that spine, might not be around for too long, given that they're in their 30s and the next Asian Cup is a long way away. But so much about football is about setting examples for Afghanistan. They desperately need one. Four teenagers in the Cambodia 11, and not a single player has turned 25 yet. That is the contrast between the team wearing red and the team wearing blue. Not just top scorer, Shaiste, if he gets a goal, will become the only Afghan to score in double digits for the country. So there is one important record on the line. Captain for Cambodia on this night is Tes Sambath, the centre-back. Thiva and Chanthia will lead the line, two very agile, mobile and fast players. Now one of those, Chanthia, already broke onto the scene a few years ago, scoring at the ripe age of just 16 in a World Cup qualifying game. And so it is with hope that Cambodia kick this one off. For Afghanistan, though, a win will be a resounding reminder to the nation of the potential of developing football. There's no calling this one, though. Afghanistan slightly wounded. Cambodia, of course, wanting to get a goal. Onlookers in the country expecting quick results with the Cambodia Premier League coming through, but it does take time. for leagues to settle and players to be found. However, the approach has been very bold from both Honda and Hirose. It doesn't matter how old you are, if you are deserving, you will get your shot. David Najim, who took the throw in, starting all the 3 games for Afghanistan. Shaiste. Najim. Once again released down the right. Yes, Dastagir, just 32. Head coach of the Afghanistan side. Juggles his responsibilities with coaching the youth side in Netherlands across the circuit. Well known. And there's the first real chance. Just sent it in towards the box, but wonder if that was really the intention. Offside anyway, and the flag had gone up. Noor Hussain. Azad Zoy with that flick towards Farid. And Chanpolin digs that one out. Looking for Chanthea. That's a good ball forward. He's got the pace and trickery. He needs to be more physical though to get past Amiri, who is an absolute fighter. Nicely done by Noor Hussain. The cushioned header didn't really come off for Farid. Cambodia not sitting back though in this one. The attempt is to play the ball forward and take control of it. The cross comes in towards Chanthea. David Najim's clearance. Thought of a first-time shot there, though eventually settled just to collect and pass it back. Very positive start from Cambodia. Almost finding some more space down the wing. Keep an eye out on number 15, Sin, who's just 17 years old. He's wearing Cambodia's blue. Haidari. Farid chasing. Again gets a foot in, only momentarily. Shaiste. Play continues, fair advantage. And now some space and the shot on the turn. But in the end, a wild effort. The referee just as well to let play carry on. Challenge from behind. Easy decision. Zazai. Remarkable how Shaiste as well has grown into more withdrawn roles as his career has progressed. Just there to provide more control, more balance, even though he can be quite the threat going forward. Najim lacks an early diagonal into the box. Shaiste trying to find space. And then that dink inside the box. First corner of the game. I mentioned before the game as well about the young players coming through. That is one story. It is another to actually bring them into the national team and give them this kind of experience. Zazai delivers. Amiri goes through it and should have done better. And he knows it. At least hit the target. Free header, no pressure on him at the near post. And the perfect delivery with the perfect pace to just divert it. Got under that a little bit too much. Sinti. Braktiva. Stolen away. Azad Zoy. Well done in the end by Tess. Amiri. Najim. Space for Farid. Space that was quickly shut down by Cambodia. And both the teams must have come to know of the fact that the groups have already been decided because of an earlier result. Palestine doing a favor to India and Hong Kong both, even though they were favourites already, having won both their games. But just a sense of assurance now of getting through the group for those two. Repercussions of the placement later on, whether teams finish first or second. The pot won't change unless the rankings change, and that still has time. The Asian Cup final round, of course, in June 2023. Not the greatest area to try a give and go. Afghanistan via Haidari. Chanthia doing his defensive work. Sinti's first touch deserting him. Afghanistan have it again. Out wide for Haidari. Trying to get past Ken, who's a very smart defender himself. Not throwing himself into the challenge. Shaiste tries to curl that. Farid. Nicely done by Chanthea. Now Sinti, heavy touch. Quite an emotional evening the other night for Afghanistan as well, after they equalized against India just 2 minutes after conceding, and then a couple of minutes later found themselves behind again in front of 44,000 odd fans in Kolkata. Never too easy. Now, quite intriguing as well that their best moments in the sport have also come in this country. That SAF victory that continues to be recalled in Afghanistan. Haidari. Azad Zoe. Shaiste. Amiri can step in. Najim. Now once again searching for that one from Azad Zoe. Cambodia not really putting any pressure on Afghanistan, allowing them to play it out of the back. Long searching ball is easy to clear for Chanchav. Just a passing drill for the last couple of minutes for Afghanistan. Azad Zoe once more. Surely when the groups came out, Afghanistan must have had a lot more hope and expectation, especially from the first two games, especially from that game against Hong Kong, the side which have been the surprise package so far in Group D. Nazari. Now Farid. Najim. Amiri eventually trying to aim an early ball inside the box, but very little chance of being a threat from that kind of an angle. Easily closed down. Noor Hussain. Haidari. These are the kinds of moments they've got to capitalize on. And Farid back into the area. And goalkeeper's positioning is all complete 6s and 7s for Cambodia. And now Shaiste for goal number 10 of his Afghan career. And now officially the country's leading goal scorer. And the only one with goals in double digits. That is his 10th for Shaiste. And that is why the smiles that you can see. A relief and a record.
Afghanistan. Score by number 10, Faisal Shaiste.
Cambodia started out with some pressure on the ball, but have allowed Afghanistan the time and space. Goalkeeper's nowhere over here. That allows the cross in. 7 blue shirts inside the box, but nobody can stop Shaiste from curling that one. Nicely done through the gap and past the keeper. And so Afghanistan lead. Cambodia's head coach before the game saying that scoring is vital, just in terms of the confidence that it will give a young group. But for that, they have to be bolder. The first 5 odd minutes really seemed like Cambodia would try and press Afghanistan and make something happen, but they've gone into that shell again where they wait and watch. Shaiste. Good ball forward for Farid. Now Haidari. Farid again. A decent tackle from Ken. Chanpulin. Ken once more. And Najim's interception. So Faisal Shaiste, the goal scorer. Almost has a free role. You can see him at centre back, at centre midfield, and also inside the box, scoring goals. Just can't find the space to send a single cross in Cambodia. Ken had to be quick. Pressure from Haidari, almost taking the ball away from him. A remarkable dominance from Afghanistan on the ball. Sinti. Ken lets it run for Chanthea. Chanpulin quickly moving it forward. This is much better from Cambodia, trying to keep the ball. This is why play was stopped. Chanthia and David Najam going in for the ball. In the end, a decision in favour of Afghanistan. New keeper as well for Afghanistan between the sticks in Hosseini. He's tried out all the goalkeepers. Has Dastagir, and now more space down the right. Haidari, Farid, this could open up and just wide. Enough pressure in the end from Tess Sambath. Just too easy, this move. And then Sambath just making sure he puts off Farid from that tight angle. Through the lines, and now from a distance, but that's going to be harmless. Zazai going for it. Knew that he would need something special, but had the time to measure one, just dragging it away. Chanpulin. Just the lack of control in midfield has been the undoing of Cambodia on so many occasions. Here come Afghanistan once more, and this time via Noor Hussain. Chanpulin. Ken. Now covering ground and finding Chanthia. Chanthia finding some space. There's the shot, and he works the goalkeeper. A follow-up for Braktiva. Chanthia's there. Might get another shot at this. But in the end, just a short pass. And back towards midfield, ending the attack in a disappointment. But that's much better, much more direct from Cambodia, finding the kind of player who can take on others and create an opportunity. And Chanthia is one of those who can do exactly that. And this is how he did this one. Just shifting it, finding the gap and forcing Hosseini down. Their first shot of the game. Had to be careful, Bunchai. And the right back is making his first start as well in these qualifiers, just 19 years old for Cambodia. Which means that Ken had to shift from right to left back. There he is. And that one just going over Chanthea. Keisuke Honda trying his best to make this group play. Just his presence will also be very helpful with all the experience he brings. The results will surely have to wait. The country will have to be patient for that. And now Chanthea in some space. Braktiva alongside him, and he's found Braktiva. What a block from Masi Saihani. Throws his body down and makes sure that he's in the way. But the right decision from Chanthea. And there's nothing else that Braktiva could have done. Had to pull the trigger. Ken, Chanthea once more. He's growing into the game over the last few minutes. There's the mistake from Amiri, just too casual. Chanthea onto him in a flash. And then the timing of this pass perfect, but fine challenge that. Getting a solid block in. Has to be careful, Test Sambath. Chanpulin. Just that chance has given them some confidence. Sinti. Sin. Pretty similar names. Sambath. Nazari had to be pulled back in the end. And challenge came from Long. It's time for a quick break to hydrate themselves. Now Honda's taken the time out of from these drinks breaks to give enough instructions to his players. There have been some moments which have been positive. Many of those coming via Chanthea. As for Dastagir, you could see the relief on his face when Afghanistan scored. And Braktiva with that chance that was blocked very bravely by Masi Saihani. Just pointing out the gaps. There are some spaces opening up as Afghanistan rely on that goal that they've scored, but still very much open and susceptible to an attack like this. Chanthea faster than Amiri, and then Braktiva, good first touch, set himself up and had to get the shot away. There are more chances like that, and Cambodia will grow into this. And Shaiste, 10 goals now against 9 different oppositions. In his time with Afghanistan, he's been playing since April 2014 for the Lions of Khorasan. That first goal in Afghan colours coming just a month after his debut against Kuwait. and the latest one coming against Cambodia. Didn't start the first game. Should have been a handball, but Afghanistan have possession anyway. Hedri turns his man, sends the shot, and Des Sambath making the block. The keeper was just behind him, but he was taking no chances. Looked like the clearance did come off the arm, but Hedri eventually allowed to go forward and create the shooting opportunity. And now a chance for Zazai to send in another set piece. Shaiste takes it eventually towards the far post. Saighani was waiting and gets a header on target. Soxela was comfortable. Ken playing it forward, asking Chanthea to run on to this, and even someone with his pace couldn't get there, just a little too much on it. Playing him slightly wider in this game, just as an outlet. Afghanistan should make sure that they increase the lead. One goal is never enough. Despite the fact that they've had nearly 75% of the ball in over half an hour, Cambodia have just shown that they have the speed to trouble them. But Afghanistan should make the most of moments like these. Najim, Farid is available, Azad Zoy is running onto it. And now Farid into some space. Too many defenders, and then the shot comes in, and what a hit that is. Zazai from the edge of the area drills it back in and past Soxela, who had no chance at all. And when you have so many bodies inside the box, sometimes you forget that there could be a threat just lying outside it. There's Azad Zoy and the knockback. Eventually it would come outside. Zazai waits, watches, bang. Excellent strike. And Afghanistan finally comfortable, and it's a good timing to score as well. Keeper was going the other way. Comfortably beaten. So Mustafa Zazai joins Shaiste on the score sheet. Chanthea, Braktheva, Sinti, and now Ken. Chanpulin. Fine turn from Braktheva. And he's been fouled as well. Free kick for Cambodia. And a yellow card is going to be shown to Noor Hussain. This is the turn. Very clumsy from Noor Hussain. Hurt himself in the process. But what a good opportunity. What a good position. Braktiva was on top of this, and so is Long. So a free kick scored at the other end at Salt Lake. That was from Sunil Chetri. Braktiva takes it and is curled it in, and Cambodia have scored. Keisuke Honda, the free kick specialist, surely with a few pointers in training. And if that is how they're going to take their set pieces, then Braktiva should be looking forward to a lot more. Low and past the keeper, who will be disappointed. Didn't have a lot of pace, but the angle, and then just that decoy member in the wall who ducks down at the last moment. And so Group D continues to deliver goals. And the only team which hadn't scored so far are off the mark. And Noor Hussain, one of his errors leading to a goal in that game against Hong Kong as well, and now he's committed a foul from which Braktiva has scored. Not having a very productive Asian Cup qualifying campaign is Noor Hussain. And Braktiva also makes up for that opportunity which he squandered after Saihani's fine defending. And so the lead is cut in half by Cambodia. Afghanistan forced to make a change as well. Popelze is coming on. Here come Cambodia. Najim goes off. That's a big loss for them down the right. Chanthea will be very happy to see the back of Najim. Unfortunate though for him. Argument just breaking out because of this decision. Referee's given a free kick. Amiri not happy with it. Just outside the box as well. Slightly closer and more central than the earlier free kick. And once again is the left footer Long and the right footer Braktiva setting this one up for themselves. Fresh from a goal just minutes ago. A couple of yards closer means it might be more difficult to get it up and down, but he didn't go for that option in the last one. Went low and on the angle. Left footer or right? Thiva or Long? Long goes for it, not too far. Just didn't come down enough, but had enough pace and power to trouble Hosseini. You could see the idea. And Cambodia looking very threatening from that kind of a situation. Just a confirmation of David Najim going off for Omid Popelze. Might lead to a change in shape as well for Afghanistan. As of now, Popelze is playing exactly where Najim was. Long. Cambodia ending this half strongly. Thiva, chance for a low ball inside. Oh, nearly turned in. Massive, massive chance for Sinti. Brak Thiva is causing all sorts of problems. Once again, space down the right, but he's got this turn on him that is so sharp, so unexpected. And Sinti could have gone for a simpler finish. Could have been 2-2 just like that. And that's what a goal can do to a side. Afghanistan have hardly seen the ball since Brak Thiva scored the free kick and gave Cambodia some hope to fight back. Lots of time left as well. Early ball inside is poor, but skewed off the knee of Sinti, and then the goalkeeper was fouled. Masi Saihani gets a yellow card for that. Worth watching whether he was within his rights to challenge the keeper or not. Sinti's clearance was very poor. There's the ball latched on, and Saihani arm first into the keeper. Popelze. Farid. And now Haidari from a narrow angle. And somehow it's just stayed outside. A collective effort from the defense and the goalkeeper who stayed down. I thought that Haidari would have gone half a second earlier. Thought of going for the shot there, but left Tess on the ground with that dummy. And Soxela has continued to stay down after that play. Three minutes added on, meanwhile. Lots happening back home in terms of adding professionalism to the sport. Cambodia expect to reap the benefits of that professional approach. Only privately owned teams will now be allowed in the Cambodia Premier League. Certain rules and regulations put in place. And the coach saying that there will be a lot more players to pick from, a larger talent pool. But before that, they've got to get through this and set an example for those coming through. Noor Hussain. Azad Zoe. Noor Hussain once again. Farid's first touch is too heavy. Another clash. The referee calling for immediate attention for the two players. Crashing into each other. Three goals already in this half. Shaiste started it all off. Always knew he was going to go on to his right. But to put it through so many bodies takes a lot of composure. And then Zazai with a strong finish from the edge of the area. But Braktheva, that is Cambodia's first goal in this Group D qualifying campaign. Looks like more attention is needed for Chanpulin. Ever present in Cambodia's starting 11s, the number 8. Keisuke Honda will be hoping that he doesn't have to make a change in that midfield that is just growing in confidence. A lot of changes also being discussed in terms of the kinds of substitutions that will be allowed in the sport, and one of them is a temporary concussion sub as well. No such signs yet for Chanpulin. But these are just discussions happening as the sport goes through some changes. Now, one more thing that was discussed by the IFAB, which makes the rules of the sport, are kick-ins, which might replace throw-ins. There is still time for that. Chanthia. Ken. Oh, it's a good ball forward. Just couldn't bring it down. Long has to do better. Those are the moments you've got to capitalize on. And hopefully the experience that Cambodia have got in this half will go a long way in teaching them about how important it is to convert those half opportunities into opportunities. But Chanthea and Braktheva have tried to do that. Now, one of them have scored. Zazai and Shaiste got the goals for Afghanistan, and Braktheva's free kick just bringing Cambodia back into this. Their first goal of the campaign coming from that free kick. They've grown into this, and a second half awaits us. At the break, though, it is Afghanistan 2, Cambodia 1. Welcome back. You're watching Cambodia against Afghanistan. Cambodia were trailing 2-0 at one point because Shaiste, who became the top scorer of his country, opened the scoring this evening. He was followed up by a strike from Zazai, number 17, by Keisuke Honda, and the free kick specialist. He's seen his side get one back via Brak Thiva's set-piece attempt, low and into the corner to bring Cambodia back into the game. So it stays at 2-1, finely balanced, as Group D continues to deliver goals in every game that it has seen so far. No changes at half-time from both the head coaches, but Afghanistan were forced to bring on Popelze for David Najim, who went off injured. Najim, who is probably one of the first names on the team sheet for Afghanistan. And they will be looking for a third goal to just quell all the pressure that Cambodia have been applying on them. That goal just completely changing their attitude. When they sit back and wait for the opposition to come at them, it doesn't really work. Eventually oppositions have broken them down on every occasion. But when they take the ball and they try to make things happen, that is when Cambodia can look good in flashes. And those are the flashes that Anush Dastagir will not want to see his side allow into the side in blue. Amiri and Saihani were worked in the end, especially by Chanthea and Brak Thiva. On the turn is Farid. And back into the area for Azad Soyan. There was more interest. Once again, Farid getting into the right position. Flag stays down. And a glorious chance. He's the one who started it off, and he could have finished it. And just like that, another chance goes begging. These are the moments that Dastagir spoke about in terms of just the individuals stepping up and making the most of them. Poor touch from Thiva. Almost allowing Haidari a crossing position. Zazai. Popelze has come on the right side for Afghanistan instead of Najib. More attack-minded player. Haidari. Popelze measures this one towards Farid, who got there first, but it's a tame header. Azad Zoy in the way, and then fouled as well by Long. Always seem to have a plan, Afghanistan. It's just about not making the most of their chances. There's not a huge clamour in terms of complaints about how they play. No such thing, because they do approach these games with a certain fervour, whether it's India or Hong Kong or Cambodia. The issue against Hong Kong, most experts have been saying, was mental, just being complacent, taking the side for granted. They fought hard against India, and Dastagir was gracious enough in defeat, saying that the country hosting these qualifiers deserved the victory. After much was made of how he said that earlier results against them were due to India being lucky. Shaste, Farid, space for Nazari, back towards Farid, but easily seen and dealt with. Ken, joined by Chanthea now, who can use Ken's space. Try to do everything on his own. Surely the better option was to find Ken and then make his way inside the box. Sambath. Pass was quickly intercepted, and Afghanistan can now break forward. Azad Zoy. Farid from distance, never troubling Soksela. Chanthea, Ken, Inso David, into some space, and then the shot, but once again over. He came in for number 8 Chanpulin, who took a whack to the face when he clattered with Amiri. He's seen a lot, Dastagir, in his time involved with Afghanistan football. A lot of times, and a lot of that football has been played in India as well. There's an early ball inside, straight to the keeper. Couple of changes coming in as well for Afghanistan. Before that, Cambodia with a chance to cross in, but disappointing from Bunchai. So time for the changes as Kuhyar, who's been highly impressive, comes on for Azad Zoe. And Ali Khil, number 2, coming on for Farid. There's Kuhyar. He takes his place on the left wing. Azad Zoe, who was doing a good job there, taken off. So is Farid. The 2 forwards who've done pretty well with their physical play, creating multiple openings. Farid especially slightly wasteful, one might argue, but always difficult to deal with. Here come Cambodia. Ali Khil, straight into the game. Shaste. Hadri, nobody's inside the box. He does take a tumble, but doesn't get anything for it. Yeah, the Cambodian who's come into the side with the captain's armband. There he is on the ball. Some decent involvements in keeping Afghanistan at bay. Long as Cambodia try to play it out of trouble and fail to do so. So David just trying to stitch things up there. There he is on the ball now, quickly forward. The likes of Chanthia and Braktheva have to be brought back into the game. Those were the 2 players who were causing all sorts of issues for Afghanistan. There's one of them, Thiva. This time runs into a cul-de-sac. Shaiste over the top for Nazari. Ali Khil takes his time. Saihani. Shaiste. Nur Hussain. A simple pass intercepted by Long. Amiri. Well, him and Saihani not going as forward as they used to, slightly deeper maybe to stop all the counters that Chantia and Thiva were producing, but now Kuhiyar inside the box. And now Noor Hussain. Kuhiyar once more, just taken away from him, and Shaiste over. Neat play inside the box, too intricate in the end. So David getting a foot in. Nice little flick, now Chantea. Braktheva trying to find space, has to turn around, manages to keep the ball. Bunchai. And then the attempt from long. Afghanistan on the ball. A possession switching quickly. Haidari. Ali Keel. Kuhiyar, the ball just escapes him. So the half-time score is unchanged on the hour mark. Afghanistan still with that narrow lead, but Cambodia not as deep and not as concentrated on defending in this game. Decided to play a slightly more attacking brand, slightly more proactive brand of football, and why not? It's their last group game. Shaiste. Noor Hussain, cheaply given away. For someone who's so experienced and in charge of keeping the ball, he does commit a few mistakes. Kuhiyar. Back in for Haidari. Simply no space to take the shot. Cambodia very tight when they pack bodies inside their own box. A couple of changes might be coming up for Cambodia as well. Sasai. Kuhiyar. Shaiste. Back towards Kuhiyar on the bounce, slow and hard but wide. And the two players who are ready to come on for Cambodia, of course, one of them is Sokfeng, and the striker, the experienced striker for them. 13 goals already for Cambodia. And Matt Noron is also ready, number 11. And one of the players going off is the 19-year-old Sinti. Matt Noron will slot in there, and Braktheva, the goal scorer. That's his contribution to Cambodia's qualifying campaign in terms of goals, the first one they've scored. But a good time to bring on fresh legs from Keisuke Honda. Cambodia will be hoping that the subs can actually make a difference. Afghanistan have tired in the past in the latter stages of games. Zazai. Shaiste. Kuyar. Shaiste again. Into some space. His experience is so telling. A decent cross as well. Easily defended though in the end. The presence of Tess Sambath, once again a defining factor. Inso David. I was looking for Matt Noron, in fact, but didn't find him, however. Now he's been found. Sokfeng's return pass too heavy. Heavy enough for Saighani to intercept. And that's the reason play has been stopped and quickly restarted as well. Cambodia have eaten into Afghanistan's possession. At one point it was 75-25. That was the first half hour. Now we're into the final half hour. Popelze. Amiri and Nur Hussain. Shaiste spreads it out wide for Kuyar. Early ball in. Moved on towards Sokfeng, but Saighani saw the idea, saw the danger and quickly cut it out. Nazari leaves the ball behind. Matt Noron with it. Should be an interesting last few minutes if the score stays like this, because it is expected Cambodia will push. Kuyar. Past three challenges, Shaiste. And once again in some space, Kuyar thought about it and then thought about it again. Just didn't find the space. Saighani. Zazai. Nicely done. Ali Keel's shot is disappointing. Their teammates just questioning whether that was the right decision. He had support down the right. And a player just coasting in there, but Popelze didn't really get the ball. Hedri tried to do everything on his own and wins a free kick in the process. And a yellow card as well coming out for Chanchav. Centre back going into the book. Him and Tess Sambath the new pairing this evening. And that is why, just leaving a trailing leg. Quite some distance on this. But the way Popelze is looking at it, don't be surprised if he attempts a shot. It will take something special, something audacious. Deep breath, and Popelze from distance. The keeper manages to hold on to it. Have to get more of Chanthea on the ball down the left. He's been slightly isolated in the second half. Haven't had a single proper moment with Cambodia's young number 9. Touted to be the face of the modern era of Cambodian football. Chanthea on the ball right now. Sambath. Unchai. So David just trying to wriggle out of that challenge, but Ali Keel stood firm. Here come Cambodia again. Chanthea. Not past the first challenge from Popelze. And now Long. Strong left foot. He's got Long, goes for it. And it's long and over. Attempted a free kick as well early on. That was much closer. And Cambodia are adding one more attacker into the mix. They've taken on the 17-year-old Sin, who put in a good shift of 70-odd minutes. And Tai Sa, another striker, and joins the likes of Chanthea and Sokpeng on the pitch right now. Kindly falls to him. First time attempt is over. Very difficult technique that. Very popular sport in Cambodia is sepak takraw, and need a little bit of that technique. Sokpeng from this kind of a situation just couldn't keep it down. So David with a foul, an easy decision for the referee who was right there. Afghanistan have just managed to get stuck in now. But a lot of credit to Kaisuke Honda and his team, because they've thrown on every attacker they have on the bench. Every player with flair and finesse is right now on the pitch, which means they're trying to get back into this. Is that mentality that will help them in the future. Have to come out of that shell where they only sit back and hope for things to go their way. But whether they can do it without the pressure, which they are right now, or with it, if they can manage to learn how to do it under pressure, then in a few years' time there is potential in this Asian country. There's still potential in this game as well for them to fight back. Chanthea finding space. Tai Sa trying to set himself up. And crowded out. Sambat steps in, and now he has some defending to do. Haidari. In so David stops him in his tracks. Chanthia. Tai. Tai again. Oh, that's a challenge, but got enough of the ball. The referee was right there. No complaints from Cambodia either. Slightly short that pass, and Hosseini had to be aware. Yeah, the keeper is down. Keeper's just down, and just enough time for the teams to hydrate. Sappy conditions in Kolkata. And Dastagir saw his team take the lead and then double it before Brakthiva's free kick went in. But Shaiste, it's a big moment for him. As many goals as the number on the back of his shirt now. And he is Afghanistan's top scorer. And this one was a solid finish from Zazai. And Brakthiva, this is how he brought Cambodia back in the game. They're still in it. Last quarter of an hour left. Chanthia. Again ahead of him. Inside the box as well. Cambodia come strongly, but in the end, and the cross just disappointing. Not enough bodies in there where he sent it. Somebody had to rush onto that kind of a ball. And that's why Chanthia should be playing in Ken more often, because he can produce moments like this. He can escape the marker. Popilze just left, and before Sokfeng could get there, clear away with ease. Once again, Chanthia. A decent challenge. Zazai illegally challenged by Long. Just entering those final 10 minutes where jitters can take over. Yeah, looks like it's the end of the game for Shaiste as Musawi comes in. A nice record to take home for Faisal Shaiste. All smiles. He will want to be all smiles at the final whistle as well. This is how he opened the scoring. So does Zubair Amiri join his teammates on the pitch. One final change made. Ahmad Haidari, who also played down the right, put in a good shift, comes off. Bunchai. Oh, good looking ball inside and an equalizer. And Sokfeng has scored and Cambodia have completed a turnaround from 2 goals down to 2-all. And the first time that Bunchai was given the time and space to cross, he's found his striker and the striker's found the net with aplomb. So much time allowed for the cross in, unmarked completely. Amiri puts his hands up immediately, because he knows that Sokfeng should have been marked out. Goal number 14 for the country, for the number 10. And it would be a fine moment for Cambodia if they manage to take a point from here. And now it is going to be nerves for Afghanistan. Cambodia making their final change. Suhana is coming on for Long. There's the change. There's the corner. Ooh, near post once again. Just over this time from Zubair Amiri. And there are reasons why Cambodia will celebrate these goals a lot more than one would think, because before the group, there was a remarkable lack of goals. There could be more here. And the keeper just stopping the ball on the line. And Taisa had ghosted in towards the far post. Once again, Bunchai, where has he been for the last 80-odd minutes? If he can cross the ball like that, there should have been a lot more deliveries coming from that side, but that is how close Cambodia will think they got to beating Afghanistan. There's still time for that to change. Musawi. Ali Khil. Smartly done. On the turn is Zubair Amiri. Straight to Soksela. I was just mentioning before that attack from Cambodia that before the group started, they had scored just 13 goals in 16 games and conceded 59. That was the record before Group D games began. So scoring these two ends a long wait. And they've been convincing goals at that. The 5 more minutes plus added time for both teams to defend or find a winner. Musawi. Nazari is there for support and gets it. Now Noor Hussain with the captain's armband. And Afghanistan could find a winner, but as usual, Cambodia bringing in enough bodies inside their box to quell another attack. Inso David. If they can only pour forward now, Ken. And Chantia's first touch is poor. Swept out wide towards Musawi, just couldn't keep it inside. And Dastagir asking for more effort. And flag goes up against Thai. Ali Khil just escaping that challenge in a vital area. Cannot lose the ball to Cambodia over there. Saighani over the top. And the cushioned header from Zubair Amiri is for nobody. Inso David. Confidently out wide towards Bunchai. Lowest ranked team out of the 4 in the group. Cambodia coming into this at 171 in the FIFA rankings. Chanthea. Past the first challenge. Chanthea! And just away. How close was that? Nazari on the line. Afghanistan against the wall. Being pushed and pushed hard. Now what a precocious talent he is, and this is why invites the challenge. Lovely body feint, and just couldn't squeeze it past Hussaini. Now Bunchai. Side netting. Great opportunity once again. Afghanistan always have this habit of switching off at the end. Tired legs, and Matt Noron almost making them pay. Now Zubair Amiri at the other end. And a challenge coming in from Tess Sambath. Every other time that Afghanistan have pushed like that, he's been there to clear, to intercept, to block. And even the sheer physicality of this Afghan side hasn't rattled Cambodia. There's the corner. Still in the box before it was smashed away. Chanthea can run away. Now he spreads it out wide. In steps Bunchai, weak foot, and you could see that. Just didn't have enough. Just the raw pace of Chanthea, troubling 3 Afghan defenders. All of them taken out with that one pass, and then Bunchai could have done slightly better at troubling Hosseini. 4 minutes have been added on. Chances not only for Cambodia but even for Afghanistan. Zubair Amiri's attempt straight to the keeper. It's going to be a long throw in from Amiri. Lots of target men in there. Amiri in the end just comfortable for Soxela. Tai. Bunchai cushioned by Matt Noron. Tai again. Matt Noron is through down the middle. Chanthea inside. Noron on the edge of the area. Sent in. And then Afghanistan just managing to defend it. Ken. A breakneck end to this game. Shot coming in from distance, but it's wide. Tempting to take it, Chanthea was asking. But once he'd taken that touch and found the yard, there was no doubt that Suhana will go for the shot. Zubair Amiri asking, pleading for more support. Sent in, and of course the referee just saw a foul. Cambodia will buy some time. In fact, it is heartening to see them quickly take it. They will try to push forward. Chanthea once more. 4 attackers up front, all lining up. The flag has stayed down, and now an attempt. Oh, and it's just over. Cambodia, chance after chance. Matt Noron again. Every Afghan shirt had stopped in the hope for the flag to go up. But how clever is this pass? Ali Keel was playing him on, and Matt Noron had the time to measure that, but just enough of a touch from Hosseini. Corner's been taken quickly. Tai. Falls to Bunchai. And now an attempt from long range, and it's gone over. And full time between Afghanistan and Cambodia, but a highly entertaining encounter. counter, even though the stakes were not so high for both the teams, even though they knew that their qualifying chances are done and dusted even before kickoff or the first ball being kicked. They gave it their all. Afghanistan opening the scoring and running away into a 2-goal lead despite Cambodia's fast start, but that forced the side in blue to come at them, and when they play like that, they can cause problems for Afghanistan. This is a reminder that this side needs some refreshing. Dastagir will know that, he will have seen signs, but for Cambodia and their future, this draw will mean a lot, because they came back, they fought, and they fought hard, and they played like they never have in the other 2 games that they've lost so far in Group D. That change in approach will be spoken about. It will excite fans, hopefully, back home for them. But in the end, despite all the efforts of Afghanistan and Cambodia's attackers, at full time, it ends 2-2 between the two sides.